I'd like to get to a subject that, shockingly, the media is not covering. Let's take you through a little flashback here of an interview that I did in 2016. You might recall this interview I did. Here we go.
Donna, do you owe the voters an apology for passing a question for a town hall off to the Hillary Clinton campaign?
Sir, you know what? I wish when you got your facts, you read the emails. And
I did read a lot of them.
Well, you clearly did not read my email, sir. The Democratic National Committee, as Secretary Clinton alluded to tonight, was a victim of a cybercrime.
You keep saying that, but the email was that you passed it along.
Private emails were stolen from individuals that had no right being trafficked in the public sphere.
We've heard this, but what about you passing a question to Hillary Clinton's campaign, the town hall before?
Trump badger women, you're welcome.
Yes, a journalist asking a question is badgering you.
Yes.
You've said it on Russia.
Sir?
You passed the question. Jake Tapper has also said you passed the question. Do you have anything to say about that?
Questions as a contributor to CNN.
Well, first of all, let me answer the question, because as much as I respected journalists all my political life, and I will respond to questions, as I've stated repeatedly, that the Democratic Party was a victim of a cybercrime, and I don't peddle in what I call the illegal dumping of private emails in the public sphere that have been altered, that have been in many cases readapted. And so, as I've stated repeatedly, and I'll state it again for the record, I have never been privileged, as long as I've been not just a part of CNN, which, let me just say how proud I am to have been a contributor for CNN and other news outlets. And no one has ever shared questions with any of us involved in CNN as...
Do you have proof that it was Russia? Do you have proof that it was Russia?
Sir, as we've stated, and the United States government has also stated, and if you would like a copy of the Department of Homeland Security and the information that they released 2 weeks ago, you're welcome to have it, but I'm sure you have it. But
yeah, they also told us we had WMDs. Well, why should we trust this?
Because we have ample evidence. We've been the victim of a cybercrime. We have ample evidence. We have ample evidence through our servers and through all of the technology that we have seen corrupted by the fingerprints used by Russian hackers.
I play that not to stroke my own ego, although I do enjoy watching it. I have not been invited to the DNC Christmas party since, and I think that might have a little something to do with the fact that Status Coup was denied credentials for the majority of the presidential debates. We finally got credentials to the debate that was supposed to be in Arizona, but obviously coronavirus canceled that debate in Arizona. It was moved to D.C. With no audience. But I never believed, and I made it clear when I was at the Young Turks, that I never really believed there was actual evidence that Russia hacked the DNC. It was certainly possible. I'm no fan of Vladimir Putin. Russia definitely tried to, quote, interfere in the election through the same mechanisms that we use when we try to interfere in other elections. Go look at Matt Taibbi's reporting from when he was a journalist in Russia. America basically threw the 1996 election for Boris Yeltsin. And then, as the Soviet Union, in the years after the Soviet Union went down, America, through our policies, including Lawrence Summers, who Joe Biden is now getting advice from, privatized all of Russia and gave it to conservative oligarchs. So there was never any actual evidence that Russia literally hacked the Democratic National Committee's servers and stole emails. There was a possibility of it, but I always said, listen, I have read all of the technical, keyword technical, stories on outlets like Wired and elsewhere that explained what the evidence was, and the only thing they reported is basically what the United States government had put out there as explanation of how it was Russia's fingerprints common Russian hacking IDs were found in the DNC server. But there was never any actual forensic evidence that Russia hacked the DNC. Now, again, doesn't mean they didn't. All I'm saying as a journalist, I know this is a radical concept for the folks at the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Associated Press, Daily Beast, BuzzFeed, CNN, MSNBC, I could go on and on and on. But you're not supposed to just regurgitate what government officials and intelligence officials, i.e., all the anonymous sources that the New York Times, Washington Post use, you're not supposed to just regurgitate what they claim to be fact without actual independent verification. This is how majority of wars have started that the United States have launched. All of this was a mass propaganda campaign and distraction campaign to the real reason that the Democratic Party lost to an orange orangutan reality television star in 2016. The fact that the Democratic Party doesn't stand for anything, the fact that the Democratic Party is corrupt, the fact that the Democratic Party, not that Trump was much better, but that the Democratic Party has no actual policies for working people, and that the Democratic Party has put forward a candidate who was corrupt. That's why they lost. So we had to do a mass distraction campaign so that the media wouldn't be forced to cover income inequality, the toxicity of money in politics, which was talked about and people have become more awoke to during the 2016 campaign and obviously now. The media didn't want to cover that. So they took unverified, not proven propaganda that Russia hacked the election and stole the election and ran with it for 4.5 years. Well, I mean, Aaron Mate has gotten a lot of grief, independent journalist with the gray zone. Well, it just totally, the house of cards has completely crumbled. This was just revealed. Crowdstrike CEO, Crowdstrike is the third-party, quote-unquote, security firm that the DNC cited as proof that Russia hacked the DNC. In a congressional testimony with Adam Schiff, the CEO of Crowdstrike, we did not have concrete evidence that data was exfiltrated from the DNC, but we have indicators that it was exfiltrators. Let me read that one more time. We did not have concrete evidence that data was exfiltrated from the DNC, but we have indicators that it was exfiltrated. He went on. There are times when we could see data exfiltrated and we can say conclusively. But in this case, it appears it was set up to be exfiltrated, but we just don't have the evidence that says it actually left. I'm honestly, it's very rare. I am actually speechless. I am actually speechless. Mr. Stewart of Utah, you said something, and I want to restate it, and tell me if I'm wrong, if I could. You said, I believe, talking about the DNC computer, you had indications that data was prepared to be exfiltrated, but no evidence it actually left. Did I write that down correctly? The CEO of CrowdStrike. Yes. Oh, by the way, CrowdStrike was paid $78,000 by the DNC in 2019. Let me get something straight here, okay? We collectively, we were called conspiracy theorists for the last 4 years. Aaron Mate was called a conspiracy theorist and a wacko for 4 years. Glenn Greenwald, Jimmy Dore, Michael Tracy, who I think is a bit off the rails on other things, but he was right on this. I was called a conspiracy theorist by my own former boss, Remember, I was on a panel with Cenk. He was buying this hook, line, and sinker that Russia hacked the DNC. The whole talking point, 17 agencies have confirmed this, that Russia hacked the DNC. All of this was the origin of Rachel Maddow's 4-year nervous breakdown on television that The Intercept so brilliantly. Let me bring you down memory lane here.
And here's the question. Is the new president going to take those troops out? In Russia, Russian, of whether or not Russia had help, whether they had Confederates inside the Trump campaign when they launched this attack. But every day I lead my show, and I think I'm going to be talking about something else. But every day, over the course of the news cycle, a new piece of it falls in place. We're about to find out if the new president of our country is going to do what Russia wants. If the presidency is effectively a Russian op, right? If the American presidency right now is the product of collusion between the Russian intelligence services and an American campaign, I mean, that is so profoundly big. This is not part of American politics. This is not, partisan warfare between Republicans and Democrats. This is international warfare against our country.
Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.